Welcome back again to me and Kṣaṇāti. We are discussing about the moon houses, and now we are focusing on the ascendant or the sign, moon sign. So this video will be discussing about the moon in your ascendant, whichever the ascendant you are born, and what is the importance of that moon in your chart. Like example, if you are a Cancer ascendant, so moon will be rule your first house. So what is the role of moon? In different ascendant, if that is your ascendant, that will be going to affect you physically. And if it is your moon sign, then that house, that moon will be going to affect you mentally. So let's start with the Aries ascendant or Aries moon, right?
Yes, excellent.
Yeah, so like Aries people, whether they are born in the Aries ascendant or Aries moon sign, the moon has a prominent role of fourth house. We all know that Aries, we believe, is a Kal Purusha. Kal Purusha have a Aries, so all the sign are in the right placement. So here, the people born in the Aries ascendant, the moon is a priority, second priority of their life. That is a fourth house. And here, the moon, wherever it is placed, except the Dusthana or it is debilitated or somewhere affected, they are the people who enjoy more of a pleasure in emotion level. So they always into the pleasure with the emotion. So they enjoy into the extent. What we have discussed in the earlier video, part 1, where the moon in the fourth house. Here it's not in the fourth house. It's a lot of a fourth house. So it has a more power of a moon here in the Aries ascendant. And that is why Aries people enjoy the pleasure much more better way than the other people. As they have a natural sign here, and being a moon, that house lord is also moon. So they are getting a double benefit out of this moon. So they are enjoying the moon position on the fourth lord as a fourth lord. So they are into every kind of a pleasure. They are very much excited and they are enjoying to the extent. So this is the best position for the Aries people, having a moon sign in the fourth house. It should not be placed 6, 8, and 12 from this house. That viewers has to be remember that whenever the house lord is placed from his own house, we call as a Bhava Bham. So if it is placed in the 6th, 8th and 12th house from his own sign, then it will not giving good benefits. Otherwise, the people having the 4 Aries ascendant, either a moon sign, they will be enjoying the pleasure into the great extent. It's not a container, it's itself an entire house which is ruled by the moon. So everything will be balanced with the moon, mood, emotions, and they are enjoying all the aspects in the great extent. So you may add about the Aries ascendant with the moon.
Thank you for that wonderful discussion on moon from a perspective of an Aries ascendant. So all I want to reflect about that is the Aries ascendant is ruled by Mangala, is ruled by Mangal. Now, the moon is said to have no enemies. It is said that the moon has no enemies. However, Mars has many enemies. And it is not, some astrologers say that the moon and Mars are friends. But we know that the Mars is debilitated in Cancer. Moon is debilitated in Scorpio. So how good friends they could be has always been my argument. Now, now considering that the moon can act as a functional malefic for the Aries ascendant. So this is something to consider for the Aries ascendant. And then you're looking at the rulership of the 4th house, though, which is a natural position for the moon. So, and the rulership there. So it's a balance. Even though that Mars and moon might not always operate well together, the moon carrying its functionally natural energy to the 4th house is beneficial for the Aries ascendant. Now, generally speaking, the Aries ascendant is very passionate about their where they're from. They're very passionate about their land. And that's because the Cancer ascendant falls energy into the 4th house. So these people, it's important, it emphasizes the relationship with your actual mother. So as an Aries ascendant, the importance of your relationship with your mother is quite important. So that effect of the rulership of the 4th house. And if the moon is in a difficult position, the ruler of the 4th house is in Nietzsche position or enemy or very dark moon position, then there can be challenges with the mother. Even though your chart karma is the importance of the karmic relationship with the mother, that doesn't make the relationship easy. And but again, just my main point about the Aries ascendant is this relationship between Mars and the moon, and it is beneficial that the moon carries that energy to the 4th house. But a lot of times, the warrior and the queen, they don't always have the best interaction. So even though it does emphasize our relationship to have good pleasures with the home and have good pleasures with the family and have good pleasures with the mother, there also might be some challenges there as well that can show up, particularly if the moon is afflicted.
Yeah.
So thanks. So I hope that was helpful as well.
Yeah, you have combined both the things with the Ascendant Lord with the 4th Lord. That is something unique thing that what person is and what he's expecting. That's a total two new dimension. So the person of Aries ascendant, they are a warrior, and normally warrior doesn't have a pleasure. That's what we believe. But here, what happens that being the 4th Lord Moon, whatever they get pleasure out of it. So it's not the things that gives them pleasure, but the situation what arise in front of them. Suppose they are in the extreme cold, they enjoy that. If they are in the extreme hot, they enjoy it. So all the extreme condition, even if extreme condition they are facing, being not so good relation with the moon and Mars, as you mentioned rightly, but still at the time when the pleasure has to be enjoyed, they enjoy into the extent. So that's a good thing. You have link between the person as a ascendant Lord as well as his 4th Lord, how the cordial or not so cordial relationship between it. So that's an appreciation that you have been drawn here. So moving ahead, we can move to the Taurus. Taurus, Vrishabha, where the moon is a lord of a 3rd house. Here the enmity start because as you have rightly mentioned that the Ascendant Lord should also be seen. So here the Venus is the enemy, consider the moon as an enemy. So what happened that all the pleasure-seeking people, Taurus is nothing but the pleasure-seeking people, those who always seek the pleasure as a priority of their life, they, being a moon in the 3rd Lord, they give very less priority to their hardship. They give a less priority related to the 3rd house, their siblings, their traveling, their desire. They give a secondary thoughts for that and not giving the full priority. They give more attention to their own pleasure rather than giving them more pleasure and rather to create a new pleasure, because the 3rd house is a creation. It's a beginning of something. At least even people start thinking about the something is also a 3rd house. So 3rd house being, we have already discussed in detail in the moon in the 3rd house. Here is a lot of 3rd house. So person have a less expectation or less focus on their good deeds, new beginning, or doing something new to their life, and also avoiding a kind of emotions to their siblings also. So also not traveling much because they are very happy with the present situation where they are situated. So that way it doesn't sound good as the moon being a 3rd house lord and being in this ascendant. It's not so useful as in the other ascendant. What's your viewpoint about the Taurus people?
It's very interesting for the Taurus ascendant, especially if the ascendant falls in Rohini Nakshatra, because that's the moon's favorite nakshatra.
Yeah.
So there, but the Taurus ascendant being ruled by Venus, Shukra, and Venus and Moon having this strong historical relationship of the story where the moon, again, we've discussed this, sleeps with the Jupiter's wife and goes to ask Venus, well, have I done anything wrong? And of course, Venus is quick to say, well, of course you've done something wrong. So there is this energy of discomfort. And then you look at the rulership of third house because of Cancer position in the third house. So this is a upachaya energy. So if the moon is in good position here, even though the Taurus ascendant, as Dr. Dharmesh accurately put, will be very pleasure-seeking, how much do they want to work on themselves? How much do they want to grow? How much do they want to emotionally mature, become emotionally more responsibility? And depending on the moon position, we can see how quickly they can evolve in terms of their emotional maturity, in terms of their emotional responsibility. But if the moon is in a very difficult position here, there could be a lot of emotional irresponsibility or emotional immaturity. So the person doesn't care much about the emotion. They more care about which is good, which feels good, which is pleasure. So again, this is part of the moon relationship. The third house does activate karma with communication and expression. And with Venus, it's a different way of expressing than things with the moon, because Venus expresses things in a very beautiful, in a very refined, in a very sophisticated way. And the moon will express something in a very emotional way, in a very dramatic way. So this vibration here shows, okay, well, you have this way of describing things that is going to be very emotional. So like it's good for actors, Taurus ascendant, there can be many acting because they can put the emotion into their expression. And then also some of their dreams and their desires are about the acting out of emotion or the playing out of emotion. So they can also be skilled writers, but it's a question of how can they express that emotional energy. And again, for the Taurus ascendant, the moon is much more indulgent. And in terms of the emotional, the Venus is, it doesn't mean that Venus doesn't cry. I will say this, because Dr. Ladd used to say, don't wear diamonds or you will cry. And I said, well, I thought the moon would make you cry. And he says, well, if Venus is strong enough, it will make you cry, but only for the right reasons. See, because the moon will cry about everything, but Venus will only cry for when it is the appropriate time to cry. So this energy of the expression of the emotional nature can be difficult for the Taurus ascendant. So I think it's a very interesting position. And I hope that was beneficial.
Right. Very rightly said that for actors, you see all the actors, they are very bad in the communication. They always bring in their life also. See, in the picture, they might be scripted and they are doing, but in their life also, all the events will be scripted. They are not putting efforts to make their own relationship, own communication. Even though they can sort it out some small issue, they are making rise of that thing by spreading a wrong rumors and miscommunication. So that's a link what you have said, that's very much seen in the actress and the performer. They are lack of communication, and because of the lack of communication, they it maybe grow this kind of issue in their life. So very rightly said. Now we'll moving further more to the Gemini ascendant. Gemini people are very smart, very intelligent, very manipulated people, but they get caught. They really caught by their second house, by their family, because the moon is mother and Mercury is a child. So their family always caught this person who's having a Gemini ascendant, and they know all the in out of this person. So being the second lord, moon plays here a very vital role. Here the understanding of a relation with each other is very important. Like we know that moon is considering Mercury being his friend. In return, the Mercury is treating Moon as its enemy. So that's a very strange relation. People sometimes, student also ask why it happens that the mother treat his son as a friend and son treating his mother as a enemy. Here there's nothing enemy or nothing this. The logic behind is that your pure mind, your pure thought. See, whenever the situation arises, whatever the first thought comes in your mind is a moon. When you start manipulating it, it's you are adding Mercury, because Mercury adds the logic in inside. And so because of the Mercury, you are adding something, and that's creating your originality is broken by this. So the Gemini people having a second house, a moon lordship, they are more focus of the family. All their manipulation with the others will be very well managed, but the manipulation with the money manipulation with the family cannot be happen, and they become helpless when they are dealing with their families. So these people, as they themselves treated the moon as an enemy, they instead of going close to the family, close to the money or relationship, they are always creating a gap, and that gap is not good for the person. It's miscommunicated. Either their relation will spoil in future, or either they lose money because of the relation, bad relation, or not keeping a good relation. So these people, Gemini people, has to be very careful about the moon lordship in the second house, being it's not being well placed, and being attitude of a people of Gemini, not to become more emotional and more they are more into the calculative and that other communication skill. They sometimes suppress their own mood, own emotions, and because of that they suffer. So that's some kind of inputs of Gemini ascendant being a moon of a second house. Now you may also, I'm keen to hear your kind of inputs about the Gemini ascendant.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. As I reflect upon Matuna, I think about the rulership of Mercury, and a key point which you highly pointed out was that the moon, again, we talk about it doesn't really have any enemies. Is unconditional love have any enemies? No. However, I like to think of Mercury as the son of the moon, but the son wants to be left alone by his parent. The son has interest. The child has interest in other things. The child has interest in its logical interest. The child has logic in its rational interest. It doesn't want to be babied by its mother. Oh, little Jerry, go do this, go do that, and treated like a baby, and he wants to be treated like an intelligent equal. He doesn't want to be babied by the mother. So that's one way. So the Gemini ascendancy and the Mercury moon rulership is very interesting. And we look at the Cancer influence and the rulership of the second house. So the Matuna Lagna person is very logical, is very rational, is very intellectual, and all of that is how their energy is naturally oriented. So, and then comes the Cancer energy in the second house, which means, okay, I would like to concentrate on what I would like to concentrate on. But if the energy of the second house isn't satisfied, I will not be able to concentrate on anything, because the moon is that emotional sensitivity. And for the Mercury enemy opposition, it is like the mother is bothering the child. Go clean your room. Go clean your room. Go clean your room. And the child says, no, I don't want to clean my room. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. So this vibration of kind of a weak spot for the Gemini Lugna when you look at the Cancer position and saying, okay, I can do everything that I want to from an intellectual perspective. But if my family is not okay, and if my financial situation is okay, well, I'm not going to be able to do anything. So again, the intellectual energy, the buddhi, it would like to be spent on all of these various things. But if the family is not okay, if the money isn't okay, there will be no satisfaction for the Mithuna Lagna. So that's just some of the rulership there. I hope that was interesting. And thank you for letting me share. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's the same thing you extended to my words, that now by putting the examples, it gets clear that how the person as a child is not obedient to their mother, in spite of a true love, unconditional love of a mother. The child is not taking the as care as he has to put. So that's pretty bad for the Gemini ascendant. Will not happen in the other Mercury ascendant that we're going to see further. Now, its own ascendant about the Cancer. The Cancer ascendant, where the moon itself is a lord of ascendant and is a moon sign, is already placed in the ascendant. That is something great. So the person is physically and emotionally ruled under the moon. So here there's no option. There's no other planet who will change the person's personality. So he will try to show his personality as it is inside the mind or as he appear in front of the people. So the normal Cancerian people are very straightforward, very emotional and very outward people, whereby they like to show what the reality is there, what actually possess. So their mind and body doesn't differ in action. They are not speaking something else or extreme which they are not going to perform. They only speak which they believe they're going to do and they perform. So that kind of a surety the Cancer people are there. And we have seen the Lord Rama. Lord Rama is the best example for the Cancer ascendant, whereby he stick to his word. In spite of facing a lot of issue, in spite of having a lot of odds, he has so many options, emotions, but no, once given the words, he will perform his duty very well. So such a kind of Cancer people are there who are stick with what they believe insidely and what they perform, what they speak, what they do the action. It never been differ with each other. So that way the Cancer people are very lucky to get the ascendant lord itself a moon, and whereby the different moods you carry with yourself and you are very much aware that which kind of a mood I have to roll this time with this kind of a people. People sometimes take them very lightly, sometimes they can take very seriously. So they play a different role with the different people because the tuning is within. Tuning with the physical aspect and tuning with the emotion aspect, both combined in the Cancer ascendant. So they can tune themselves with the person to person and they deal with them very straightforward. You know, the Lord Rama has given a kingdom to Bali. He has given kingdom to Vibhishana. In spite they never aware that he can also become a king, he has given this all to the deserved person. So their word and their action never differs. So that kind of a loyalty, that kind of straightforwardness we can see in the Cancer. So I believe you should also put some insight about the Cancer ascendant with the moon position.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. That was quite illuminating, and it's always interesting talking about Cancer and Moon. Now, when you're looking at the Cancer ascendancy, which is naturally ruled by the Moon, then the position of the Moon, it influences the personality of the individual greatly. So if the Moon is in a difficult position with Rahu, with Mars, with Saturn, the person can have depressing personality, the person can have aggressive personality, the person can have these strong emotional or mood swings or fluctuations in the personality. There are many gifts that come with the rulership of the Moon over the Cancer ascendancy. But you also have to look at the position of the Moon to see if that's regulating in a functional malefic or a functional benefic pattern. Now, the personality of the individual is connected to the emotion. And going back to a dharmic essence, because when you're looking in a rulership over the ascendant, you're looking at the first layer of the dharma. And that first layer of the dharma, when you get into the energy of what the Cancerian vibration, it's about that unconditional love. It's about showing the support and care to your loved ones, showing the support and care to your family. So this can be a very natural personality type for the Cancer ascendant. But as we mentioned in some of our earlier discussions, that type of personality can be easily taken advantage of. And if, let's say that Cancer ascendant has the Moon positioned in the 4th house. So then we have this position of a difficult energy with the mother, that maybe this might be the person which is abusing you, and yet you still give this devotion to them. So again, it is natural for the personality of the chart, which is ruled by Cancer, have this huge influence by the Moon on the Dharma to be unconditionally loving, to be very sympathetic, to be very empathetic, to be very caring. But depending on the circumstances in their life, the other people in their life are not the same way, which means the devotional energy that they give out, it's not being appreciated. The devotional energy that they give out, it's not being reciprocated. Now, this doesn't happen in all cases, but like we said, in some conditions for the Cancer Lagna, they are taken advantage of. They can be dominated over because all they care is about making other people happy. So again, part of the evolutionary energy I see with the Cancer Lagna is to have strong emotional boundaries, because they have empathic intuition, which means they feel what other people feel. So if you start to feel that someone has a negative energy, you have to put on that physical boundary. You have to protect yourself. You have to cleanse your energy, because otherwise then you won't have the proper energy to give to the direction that you would actually like to give it to, because these other people are acting like vampire and they sucking your energy away. So this is something that the Cancer Ascendant, I just wanted to reflect on as well. I hope that was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. That's effect of outer energies inside your body, and that kind of reaction what you have insidely, and then what you reflect out of it. That's a very important linking that you have made in this context. So the Cancer people, they are bright, their emotion, innocent everywhere. But whatever the negative shade what you have share, it's also to be considered to for the people. Now moving ahead to the Leo ascendant, we have a Moon position in the 12th house. In this ascendant, both are very cordially inviting each other as a friend. Sun believe Moon as a friend, Moon also believes Sun as a friend. But here, they are functionally not a benefit, because 1 and 12th Lord, they are having a very less say for each other's ascendant. Now, what happens to the people having a Leo ascendant? If the Sun is very strong, there is very less influence, domination of their Moon. Because Moon being a 12th Lord, it has a very negative kind of energy which Moon is Lordship. But His determination, his strong willpower is such, and the ascendant itself being the lordship of a sun. So he will not be drawn with the emotion, but he will be always being carried out with all kind of confidence. Here the sun position to create a very important role. And if sun is combusting the moon, that is a right position. Other way it won't be happen that moon is controlling sun. It will never happen. But if sun is controlling indirectly to the moon in the chart, that is best that you are suppressing your mindset, you are suppressing your emotion, and you are becoming more spiritual or more action based people. So that Leo ascendant being moon 12th lord, they are thinking lot of things, but once they take the decision, when they take the call, there's nothing can stop them by performing that thing. So that's the greatness of a Leo ascendant being a moon, have very less say in this ascendant. And one more ascendant we're going to see is a Cancer ascendant, whereby moon has very less say. So I give you opportunity, Mr. Kṣaṇāti, to add some your views related to the Leo ascendant with the moon position as the 12th lord.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Dharmesh. And it's always interesting when we talk about the sun and the moon's relationship. As mentioned, the moon doesn't traditionally have any enemies. And on some perspectives, the sun doesn't have enemies the way that the other grahas have enemies. But the sun definitely has disharmony with other planets and other energies. And when the sun and the moon are together, well, we sometimes call that an eclipse. So we have to be careful of an eclipsing of energies, especially considering the fact that Cancer is the ruler of the 12th house. So even though the Leo ascendant Simha is ruled by Surya, they're ruled by the sun. So there is this bright light inside of them, which is trying to, the sun is the king. So there is advancement, there is progression, there is achieving the soul's potential, there is striving to achieve the soul's destiny, and all of this forward positive momentum to going to the soul's direction that the soul wants to go. And again, we can sometimes see, like we saw with Gemini Lagna, you can think of Cancer a little bit as being a weak spot to the, and this isn't necessarily dependent on the position of the moon, but it shows that even though in their conscious personality, physical energy is being Leo, that their subconscious mind and that their dreaming is heavily influenced by the moon. So it's kind of this balancing of energies, but this energy of the subconscious mind being emotionally influenced. A lot of times when you see a Leo ascendant, you don't necessarily notice their emotional quality. However, it's the 12th house vibration is strongly Cancer. So the reason behind why they're doing everything, they might not know the emotional reason why, because the moon shows this, the subconscious is emotional. The moon's rulership over the 12th house shows that the subconscious has this emotional nature. So even though we don't necessarily see the emotion and the mood as a motivating factor, it's coming from the 12th house. It's coming through our dreams. It's coming through our subconscious. Because the moon rules the Dusthana house here, it can show that sometimes the mind is they say that our mind is our greatest enemy. And the 12th house is also, and the 12th house is also the house of prisons. It's the house of hospitals and ashrams and all of these things. And so when you have that Cancer influence on the 12th house, be careful that your mind is not a prison, because the mind can turn into a prison. The mind can turn into this consciousness where we're creating our reality. We're manifesting our reality because of our emotional consciousness. So we have to we have to stay positive. We have to stay optimistic. In other words, it's not just enough to do everything you have to do as a Leo ascendant to achieve your potential, but you have to make sure that your mind is balanced too. And that's the moon, and that's the moon's influence on the 12th house, because there will be many subconscious battles which the Leo ascendancy has to face if they do not take care of their emotional aspect as well. So, so that's just, I hope that was interesting.
Yeah, so that's a combination of what we are believing is a relationship between the hello.
Namaste. Can you hear me, Dr. Dharmesh?
Yeah, sorry. So it is nothing but we can see this as a conflict of interest. We can say it's a conflict of interest between sun and moon. And the one thing which we know that which delay our moksha is our mood. That's a moon. That's the emotion we create. If we are very straightforward, we are very easily get a moksha. But this moksha are delayed because of the thought, because of not focusing or concentrating on the things. So, sir, rightly you mentioned about the conflict of interest between sun and moon, and that's leading to the very negative side to the Leo people. Now, moving ahead to the Virgo people, here, as we have discussed in the Gemini, that the enmity between the moon and Mercury and the moon, here that kind of enmity we are not seeing with the family people, but here the moon is a lordship of a 11th house. So being a moon as a ownership of a 11th house in the Gemini ascendant, it will be a very interesting for the Virgo people. Now, in spite of a Gemini, the Virgo people are getting more benefit of a moon being a 11th lord. Even though it is enemy, it is a neutral house. We all know that 11th house is a neutral house where no planet exceed their limits. So here the moon remains in the control, and they know what kind of expectation they need to be done, and accordingly they are getting a good result. So all the Virgo people having a ascendant lord instead of a Mercury, still it is Mercury, but it will be giving a good opportunity to the moon. Moon also have an independent state, and with this independent state is going to give you ultimately a good desire fulfillment, gain, and all kind of a better result for your future life. So Virgo people are not going to face major negativity of moon sign in the 11th house. So you may also put your input, Kṣaṇāti.
Yes, as the Virgo ascendancy, and thank you, Dr. Dharmesh, I agree very much with you that it does kind of find itself in a more comfortable position in the 11th house for the Virgo ascendancy, even though the rulership of Mercury, because the 11th house rulership is a house of Kama. And the moon is this planet of devotion and desire and fulfilling our desire. So this combination can go very well together. People can achieve their ambitions, what they want to achieve. They can put their emotional energy towards towards achieving what they want to fulfill, leaving their reputation on this world. Or maybe they're striving for more spiritual goals. But whatever it is, the Cancer position does help them achieve that. Now, also, this can show a moon influence on friendship. And Virgo ascendant and also Gemini ascendant, friendship is a very important thing. Friendship is a very important thing to anyone who is ruled by Mercury, because these are the people that we have social interactions with. These are the people we have communications with. These are the people that it's easy for us to express ourselves to. So the Virgo ascendant person is not very emotional. They normally don't express a very emotional nature. They express a very logical nature, a very intellectual nature, a very understanding nature, a very service-oriented nature. I'm not saying they're emotionless, but there is a strong logical orientation to them. But everybody needs an emotional outlet. everybody needs an emotional outlet. So even though the Virgo ascendant people are very logically, rationally oriented, to them, their friends are their emotional outlet. So they have to be, they can have more emotional friends. They can have more emotional relationship with their friends. And maybe they don't ever talk about their problems, because Virgo people don't like to talk about their own problems. They only want to improve things and make things better. However, maybe when they're with their friends, it's okay to talk about your problems. It's okay to talk about your challenges. It's okay to talk about your sufferings. So it's a nice relief for the Virgo ascendancy to have this Cancer vibration in their friendship, helping them fulfill their desires. And that was, thank you, Dr. Dharmesh, for your insights on Kanya and the moon rulership as well.
Yeah, so that's a combination of a logic and emotion. What logic you have within and what your friends is possessing, how to balance that. That is a main core part of Virgo Ascendant, as you have rightly said. Namaste, viewers. Again, we are back with Dharmesh, Mehta, and Kṣaṇāti as Jyotish, and this is a second part of moon in the different ascendant and different moon signs. We have reached till Aries to Virgo ascendant in the previous video, and here onwards we are touching with the Libra to Pisces. Where the moon sign is placed, and how that people, that ascendant, those who born in that ascendant, how they are affected with the moon position, that we are about to explain in this video. So let's start with the Libra, right? So Libra, see, in Libra ascendant, the moon has a position of 10th house. Now here, their creativity, because 10th house we believe as a deed, karma. There is like a Taurus ascendant where the moon was a third lord. Here, as a second part of a Venus ascendant. See here, the Venus is a more dominating for the Libra and less for the Virgo. So here they are more dominating as a Libra, and you will find the Libra people having a very creativity in their act. Whatever they do, they create the emotions, because their deeds, their performance are such that it creates the deeds, and you also like to follow that kind of feelings. In Libra ascendant, we have an example of like Hitler. We have an example of Mr. Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, revolutionary leader. So they are the people who are very strong with their own determination, but simultaneously they are creating emotions by their deeds. Their deeds, their saying, and their performing are not different. Even though that Venus is not considering a moon as its friend, but here the creativity, the act, the name, fame, recognition, acceptance by the people, these all are matters very well than this. Although the Libra people are very artistic and very creative people, that real creativity will become to the surface. It comes to the people by 10th house moon, because moon is a good counselor, good feelings, good understanding. So there, whatever the feelings are there, whatever that they want to show to the people, they dictate to the people. They want to come their work to be appreciated and come into the surface. This all will be backed by the moon in as being a 10th lord, and being a moon 10th lord, it is aspecting 4th house, again giving pleasure also. They are a pleasure seeking, being a Libra ascendant people, but as they are not so much having good cardinal relation with the moon, but still moon is performing something different as a deed. Whether you like or not, you have to perform certain duties in your lifetime. So these are the Libra people, are they very much into the arts, creativity, and Venus related luxury things. But that deeds, when the matter of a deeds appear, matter of the creativity appears. They are very emotional, and their work, they might be having done certain work which will be remembered by the people for a year. So this kind of work, Libra ascendant people having a 10th house moon are affecting in their deeds with the people. So you may put your, I'm keen to wait for what the inputs put by the Kṣaṇāti. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh ji. Yes, I think it's interesting whenever we talk about this interaction between Venus and Moon. And I feel like it can either be something that's very beautiful or be something which is very ugly. And I just mean that to point that in terms of the extremes, in terms of the dualities which you experience. Now, for the Libra ascendant, their dharma is the experience of duality. So they are meant to have this experience on the material world, but they're also meant to have an experience on a greater, on a deeper, more meaningful level as well. But the moon rulership falls under the 10th house. And so when you're looking at that moon rulership on the 10th house, that means they care very much about their careers. So to have someone who is Libra ascendant, then they have the moon in Cancer in 10th house. This is very good position. So the moon can act as, if it's in a good position for the Libra ascendant, it incredibly promote their career. If the moon is in bad position, it will show obstacles in their career. It will show hurdles in their career. But for any kind of artist, it's good for them to put their emotional energy out and towards their career. And sometimes the 10th house means being seen on a public level, or being seen on a stage, or being seen in front of other people. And so for the Libra ascendant, it's good for them to get out there and put themselves in front of other people, and put themselves in front of this world, and to work on their confidence. And so there is this Cancer influence on the 10th house, which is saying, okay, even though I am an artist, I'm putting all of my emotional energy into my career, into what I am working towards, into this reputation. Sometimes you can think of having an artist as having a nonchalant attitude, but that is not true with the Libra ascendant. Because of that influence of the moon on the 10th house, they are very deeply sensitive when it comes to their work, when it comes to their career. And this moon influence on the 10th house means that if their work and their career is not good, then they are not going to be happy. So it's something that, again, in one respect, the Cancer is showing up as a weak spot, which just means if I don't have my success or my passion or my enthusiasm to my career, then for a Libra ascendant, it's hard to be happy. So they have to have that career element that's going to be important to them.
Yeah, very rightly speak about the combination of Mercury and the moon. And we have seen two different dimensions as per the Gemini ascendant and as per the Virgo ascendant, and how the people, the relation and the people change. The same way in the Venus, we have seen the two dimension of Venus in the Taurus ascendant and the Libra ascendant, how the angle change. Again, the next angle is going to change in the Scorpio ascendant, being a Mars. Now, being a Mars, here what happens that it's being ascendant lord as a Mars, and luck, that is a ninth lord, is a moon. So the person is made up of his own ability, and now he has to follow, because as I told you, the ninth house is the life path. So he has to follow the life path of emotional. Person itself is a practical. The person himself is a being practical. He has to follow the path of emotion. See how the dimension change. As in Aries, the person is a very materialistic in the ascendant, the Aries sign, and in the house of pleasure, they have a moon sign. So they are seeking some kind of pleasure from the fourth house. But here it's a totally reverse. And moon is not considered good for the Scorpio ascendant. Being its debilitated sign, it's not giving the full confidence to the people. But as compared to the Aries, the Scorpio people being having a negative, kind of a negative energy comprised with themselves, because it's a eighth lord, Kalpurusha eighth sign, and Scorpio being the animal as the symbol as a scorpion. They are having some kind of a crooked nature or some kind of a revengeous nature. Now this revenge, this kind of a attitude or nature, can it be changed? Yeah, it can be changed by the ninth lord as the moon. Here, moon will control the emotions and moon will make him in the right path, because life path as well as your spiritual path, both are from the ninth house. So here the combination is good for the moon as in the ninth lord. He can influence the ascendant lord by whatever the negativity person possesses himself, or he tried to put the virus to the many people in the society. Here the role of moon comes and he take over the all the emotions, and he try to understand the other people that this is not fact what this person are saying, but it can be diverse. This person's attitude, this person nature also can be changed by diverting them into the religious and spiritual matter. By diverting to the religious spiritual activities or charity activities, these people can be changed, and they are earning and they are gaining much result, not even in this life, not in the future time, but for next life also. So to invest something for your next life, whatever we suffer this life, we don't have any idea. But now you got a conscious, now you know what to do and how to enhance your future life also, or future birth also. So that way, this is a very important for Scorpio people having a moon lord in the ninth house. And now we'll listen the inputs by Kṣaṇāti. Please put your inputs.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. Just like when we talked about the Cancer ascendant, the important position of the moon, well, also because Mars can be so difficult on that moon for the Cancer ascendant, the position of the Mars for the Cancer ascendant is important too. Now, when we get to the position for the Scorpio ascendant, the position of the Mars is going to be important. If the Scorpio ascendant's Mars is not good, and also the moon is also not good, this is a very, very difficult position. But if the Mars is good and the moon is not good, it can help balance it out as the Scorpio ascendant. So if the position of even for the Scorpio ascendant, the moon will be difficult. And you're having this influence on the ninth house. So there is this spiritual evolutionary energy which is connected to the emotion. And when it comes to the Scorpio energy, it's a very emotional energy, but it's very different than the emotional energy of the moon. It's very intense. It's very fiery. It's not as kapha. It's not as watery. So there is a difficult relationship for the Scorpio ascendant and then the rulership of that ninth house. But if the moon position is good and the Mars position is good for the Scorpio ascendant, they could be very pious and spiritual, because the Scorpio ascendant, when Dr. Dharmesh mentioned, they might have these secrets that they're holding, but if they conquer their demons, which also Scorpio is very transformative. So hopefully these Scorpio ascendant people, they find their demons and they face their demons. And then they will conquer their demons. And then that moon vibration, which is coming into the ninth house, allows them to be spiritually or religiously devout. So it's when they give up the old life that they live of alcohol and gambling and prostitution, and then they decide to live a life of a religious monk. And So it's this transformative energy, the emotional energy moving to the ninth house, will allow the Scorpio person to look at their darkest, deepest demon in the face. And hopefully I give everyone the inspiration to conquer those demons.
Yes, very much. Very, very rightly say that kind of a transformation, because they might be wrong in the initial state, they might be not in the right path, but religion, spirituality, being a ninth lord as a moon, that development start in the human beings, and that leads to wipe out whatever the bad deeds he has done in the earlier time or earlier life. So that's a very interesting that a person can be changed from the extreme to the positive. It's extreme on the other side and just turn into the positive. So that's a great outcome of this ascendant you have rightly mentioned. Now it will be a Sagittarius, which is come forward first time as a Jupiter ascendant. We have just now completed the Mars, Sun, Moon already completed. Then Mars, Venus, and Mercury. They are also double ascendant lord. Now here we'll see the Sagittarius ascendant Dhanur Lagna, where the lordship is Jupiter, and here the moon is placing the eighth lord. So being a Jupiter, considering moon as a friendly sign, do the eighth house lord has any say in your life? Do you have any say? Yes, you have a say, not in the positive mode, but that might be some kind of a fear, some kind of anxiety, some kind of a negative aspect of a life related to the fourth house ascendant. Now, this Sagittarius people itself are a very religious person, being a ascendant lord as a Jupiter. The ninth sign is also indicating the future time, future development, and whatever you are going to enjoy in the later on. So Sagittarius ascendant, in spite of a moon having a eighth lord, they are very good person by which they are getting a good knowledge, a secret work out by others. So their secret, their research becomes so easy. These people being a Sagittarius, they are always into the education, they are always into the kind of a knowledge industry. So being into that industry, they get the things automatically. Either they get intuition, because eighth house is for the intuition also. So they might be getting intuition through the moon, through meeting the people, to getting a nightmare. So some kind of a positive response, and we can say is inner booster, because Jupiter is very well considered moon as its friend. In spite the moon is not considered Jupiter as its friend or intimate friend, but still the Jupiter needs the energy of a eighth house by overcoming its fear. It's a overcome of fear from this house. So they are overfearing their luck, they are overfearing their own deeds because of the moon lordship in the eighth house. And this is influenced by the people that people get whenever they are into meditation. For moon, I only give the remedy as a meditation, because by meditating, you are concentrating your energy, you are shuffling your energy to the right place, and due to that right place, in your life, you'll never face any problem. So, in spite of eighth lord, the moon has a positive aspect on the spirituality, is a good aspect in the related to religious matter, inner focus. This all the things which where the guru, Jupiter is a landlord, Jupiter is a ascendant lord, and the eighth lord being a moon. But still, he has confidence that no, I'm treating you as a friend, so you will be going to enjoy everything with me as a friend only. You can't stand when you are in the lower position that you will be in the rebellious nature. So that's a kind of a rebellious nature is not found here in the Virgo Sagittarius ascendant. But still, sometimes if this moon is not so powerful, people may incline to this schizophrenic or mental disorder. So that one has to check and do the research on this domain. So I will like Ksanati, to put your views about the moon in the 8th house or 8th lord in the Sagittarius ascendant. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. Yes, it's always fascinating to look at Jupiter and moon relationship, especially considering the fact that Guru is exaltation sign is Cancer. So there is something to be said about this position, and when it comes into the proper alignment, it really being a very powerful, devotional, spiritual vibration. Now, the Sagittarius Lagna, they're very moral, very ethical, and this rulership of Jupiter, and then they have Cancer vibration in the and the moon rulership over the 8th house. So they have a moral and an ethical nature, and yet they have their curiosity, which is very strong with the Scorpio vibration, and then they have that coming in through the 8th house. So.
Right.
So this energy of the 8th house means, okay, I'm on my moral and ethical path, but I might commit the occasional prajna parada. I might commit the occasional crime against wisdom. In other words, I'm striving to be the best person I can be. I'm striving to be because that's the Sagittarius Lagna energy, is a moral and an ethical and a wisdom evolutionary energy. But because of that Cancer energy and rulership over the 8th house, they have certain desires that takes them away from their higher self, that takes them away from their guru. So the Sagittarius Lagna, they might have certain hidden desires or certain hidden temptations, which they might experience from their moon rulership. Now, if the moon is in very good position for the Sagittarius Lagna, then they can be very austere. And I mean that they can be austere in the sense of that they have strong spiritual sadhana, they do not drink alcohol, they are very spiritually disciplined. And this is when the moon and the rulership over that 8th house is in good position. They can be very interested in spiritual practices. But as Dr. Dharmesh mentioned, the 8th house is also the house of vulnerability. So for the Sagittarius ascendant, there's an emotional vulnerability here. You know, they can be seeking to fulfill their dharma and to do the right thing, but there is that vulnerability coming from the moon in the 8th house. So that's where certain disorders, which Dr. Dharmesh mentioned, come in. So that's a little bit of the spectrum for the Sagittarius Lagna. And this is very interesting. They'll start looking at the Jupiter and the moon relationship.
Yeah, that's rightly speaking by yourself, that angle of a Jupiter and moon is always being attracted to each other. It's not on the one side, but it's always being both the side they are attracting to each other, and being exaltation also happens in the Jupiter into the means Cancer sign of a moon only. So insidely they are one. They need each other's support, because here the ascendant lord is a Jupiter and moon is a 8th lord. Moon has a less say, but the Jupiter has a more say, and Jupiter here need more things, more secret from the person or a native. So rightly speaking, moving ahead to again a new single ascendant as a Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by the Saturn. So Saturn ruled Capricorn, and in this ascendant, the moon position is in directly into the 7th house. The Capricorn ascendant people ruled by the Saturn, and 7th house is been appreciated, or its lordship with the moon. So here, there's some kind of conflict of interest of ascendant lord being the Saturn and the 7th lord being the moon, as it is. People are facing lot of difficulties, lot of wrong people in their life, or they are selecting some spouse, because 7th house is for the spouse also. So in spite of they are searching for the spouse, it may be misleading to them, because they, being a Saturn people, being a practical people, being a straightforward people, how they can how can they believe the moon in the seventh position? So whatever the seventh position of moon is there in the chart, it's being very it is not been appreciated in the Capricorn ascendant, being a seventh lord as the moon. So here that enmity also comes, and you are very theoretical, very practical aspect people, or project in related person, but your opposite person to whom you are facing, they are very emotional. So here the tip is that those who are in the Aquarius ascendant, Capricorn ascendant, should always listen to their seventh house and always try to understand what they really need, and you can help by making their life somewhat smooth. So that the Capricorn ascendant is there, it will be always being very well organized with the moon in the seventh house, and it is directly influencing, directly affecting the first house itself. So some kind of a changes, some kind of a emotional things may develop in the later stage in this life. So that's all about the Capricorn ascendant. You may continue in the same ascendant.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. And now we talk about Saturn and Moon. And I always think of it very interesting as this Capricorn Cancer axis. And in Capricorn is Shravana Nakshatra. And Shravana act a lot like Cancer. So there is this very interesting vibration that comes through of the relationship between Capricorn and Cancer, and the Saturn and the Moon. And when you're looking at the Capricorn ascendant, they are ruled by Kṣaṇāti from Kṣaṇāti. So this rulership of Kṣaṇāti over them means that they might have certain challenges in their life. They might have certain adversities in their life. And so what do they need in their life in order to go through those things? Well, they need a partner who cares. They need a husband or wife who cares about them, who when the going gets tough is not going to give up on them just because things are difficult. Because for the Capricorn Lagna, they need someone who is going to be very dedicated, very stable and secure and grounded vibration. And so this vibration, they need someone who is going to, because the thing about the Capricorn ascendant is they don't really like to complain. Because if they complain, it keeps them from progressing.
Right.
But they need someone who they can trust, who they can lean on their shoulder, that they can rely on. And that's that seventh house influence on the moon for the Cancer ascendant. And so understanding the importance of the partner to help kind of balance out the energy for the Capricorn ascendant. And again, this is a challenging aspect because for the Capricorn ascendant, if the moon is in a bad position, then maybe this shows something that we've discussed consistently with the moon, which is being in an unhealthy relationship.
Right.
I've seen Capricorn ascendant in the chart of people with many marriages, and sometimes they don't even believe in marriage. They have many partners. So there can be very different approach to this marriage energy, which is more emotionally based. And that's just some of the energy I wanted to remark on the seventh house for Capricorn ascendant.
Yeah, very well said that they can't leave each other and they cannot join together with each other. So it is live, Live, and it is leve, that they can't separate or they can't stay together. But still, in spite of this kind of differentiate, they still go along with each other. It's not a high ego of Aquarius and the Leo which we are going to see. It's not a Aquarius Saturn. It's a Capricorn Saturn, and Capricorn Saturn, the Capricorn sign itself comes as a ether level. We have a five elements, the fiery, Agni, Prithvi, Vayu, and Jal is included. Where is the ether? Where is the Akash Tattva, sky? So that is the Capricorn sign. The Capricorn sign itself denotes the sky. It is, denotes the all kind of a galaxy. So these people, in spite of having a lot of a difference of issue, they settle. That's a Capricorn. Now we are moving to the Aquarius people. The Aquarius people is a strong Saturn believer. It's very hard, very difficult to change their belief towards your belief. It is very difficult for the Aquarius people. You hardly change their intention or their attitude because they are formed, they are learned with their own experience. Their experiencing is giving them results. So there is very less say of any outsider. Here the moon is the lordship of a sixth house. Being moon, not so cordial relation with Saturn. Saturn believe it as a enemy. That's one side. And another side is that the moon sign plays in the sixth house. So if you are not conscious, not keeping your mind into your life, then you might be facing a disease, you might be facing the sixth house, all the negativity. So that is why it is very important. You are just facing in front of you. The Aquarius people just facing the sun, and by doing the exercise with the sun, you are ignoring the moon, which is a sixth lord. All the disease, all the relation, everything will be in the sixth house, but the person are not going to benefit out of it. They have a maternal relationship. They are having all kind of activities to be seen from the sixth house, like a disease or everything. But there's very less determination to come out, very less determination to do something great, something good. So that differs to the Aquarius ascendant. Being Aquarius ascendant, sixth lord moon is not a good pleasant house, and it's going to affect the native adversely in related to the disease, in related to the wife relationship, because the wife is the eighth house and wife relationship in the sixth house. So these all are things, and your career, your job is also going to affect. If you are very familiar with the other mode of service, then you can omit this. But this is really a crucial time for the people having moon. Here, if the moon is powerful in the chart, that means you are taking care of yourself as well as your enemies, your job, co-workers, everything. But if it is not, then it is will be very narrow mind and not thinking anything about themselves. So that's inputs of Aquarius ascendant, being ascendant lord having not good relationship, but at least it will be a sixth lord where he can put his emotion and may get a good result related to the sixth moon. So you may also put Kṣaṇāti your own inputs in the Aquarius ascendant where the moon is the sixth lord. Please.
I think I'll take a little change and I'll discuss this from a perspective of my own experience, because I am an Aquarius ascendant with Rahu in 15 degrees. And so Cancer is my sixth lord. So like everything Dr. Dharmesh said being exactly 100% true for my life. With Jyotish, it activates my 10th house, which is Sun, Mercury in Scorpio. So that's much more comfortable vibration. But the sixth house is the house of work, which might not be so fulfilling. And before I became an astrologer, I had many different jobs. I was a hotel assistant manager. I was a cafe manager, and I worked these different jobs. And always during these jobs, these have this heavy emotional impact on me because I'm only doing the job because I have to. I'm not doing the job because I want to. So there's this heavy emotional energy where now I cannot do any work that I do not love, and I only love Jyotish. So then I have to work only in Jyotish. And even though I like hospitality and I work in that time for some long, anything which is not the most fulfilling work for me can be very difficult for emotionally. I also was event coordinator at a university. I would coordinate alumni events. And I also wanted to cry every day at this job. So pretty much every job I've ever had before Jyotish, make me want to cry. Jyotish is the only job I've ever had that make me want to cry, but these times tears are for happiness.
Oh, great. And, so that's
other thing, because house is enemies. So this activate house of enemies. So I don't always understand emotion very well. It's so people who are very emotional, I sometimes become I'm not always the best at being comforting to people who are emotional. Like in general, Aquarius, and I have Moon and Venus in 9th house. So through logic and reasoning and discussion and talking about spirituality, we can help. But I don't necessarily understand great sadness or in the same way that a Cancer ascendant might. So it's not that I think of anyone with a Cancer vibration as my enemy, but I think I have a difficult time working with emotion and dealing and treating people who are having emotional reactions. Like sometimes when I see someone crying, I just make a face like, well, why are you crying? Because it seems insignificant what they might be crying about. Or even if what they're crying about seems significant, I still have difficult digesting emotion. So that's some of that vibration of the Cancer in the 6th house for Aquarius ascendant from my own experience. And also because of this is the house of disease, first 3 stages, and the moon is influencing this house. So this is vulnerability to depression for Aquarius ascendant. And the thing that from my experience, as soon as you begin to listen to the thought of depression, then you fall into the pit. So even when the first thought of depression come in, you cannot feed that thought. You cannot give that thought any energy because that can be a pit of depression and sadness. And so just in general, there is this vibration there to avoid mental illness, to avoid mental challenges. You have to protect your emotional state. You have to protect your emotional nature. And so you have, so sometimes the Aquarius ascendant, they like to support the community. They believe in a greater community, but also very important to them is their alone time.
Right.
And the Cancer, it never wants to be alone. It always wants to be there with someone. So sometimes that's why the Cancer vibration is a little difficult for the Aquarius ascendant, is because sometimes the Aquarius ascendant wants to be alone and the Cancer ascendant won't let the Aquarius vibration be alone.
Right.
Because they want emotional support, but the Aquarius person might not even understand the emotionality. Because for Aquarius people, they're pragmatic, which means if it works, it works. Which means if it isn't broke, don't fix it. For the Aquarius ascendant, there's no use in crying about something that already happened.
Very true, very true. So that's your own experience as well as it match with the ascendant lord and the sixth lord importance, their conflict of interest, and their way of working. So in initial stage, you might have faced lot of problem, but when this Saturn dosha appears or Saturn becomes powerful in your chart, that time you all will be benefited because you all are the Saturn people, and Saturn never gives a result immediately. It's always giving after the long effort. So by approaching the final sign of Pisces, again the repetition of Jupiter and Moon, but at the instant of Sagittarius ascendant, when we have seen is the eighth lord, and here in the Pisces ascendant, when we are seeing the Jupiter itself become positive and become the ascendant, it becomes the fifth lord. Now, being a Pisces ascendant and Moon in the fifth house, so it is showing some connection with the past life. So here we can't deny anything related to the past life. And being Moon placed in the fifth house, it also shows that multiple or so many degrees or so many education they are seeking, and they are taking from the distance place. So being a ascendant lord, friendship with the eighth lord, it will be a good startup, good result, and whatever you are accumulating in the past life, at least you are able to enjoy in this life because it's a fifth lord. And in the Pisces, we normally say to the all the function that Pisces is a sign whereby all the accumulation of Aries to Aquarius, whatever the things has been created, this all will be deposited in the this Meena, means Pisces ascendant or Pisces moon. Very quiet. You might not heard anything about the Pisces where they are very silent, but they always being drawn by the time because they are very particular of a time. When you call someone on the dot time and he appear within that time, that kind of emergency, that kind of things, always there is a good relation with the ascendant lord with the fifth house. So that is a manifold work that people has to see from this combination. But main thing is that you see the report, you see the classes or action which has been done in the fifth house, because fifth house is higher education, fifth house is communication, fifth house is attachment with your past period time where you have met and now there's a gap. So this is very important, being a Pisces ascendant lord and the fifth lord, both are good on the prospect of Jupiter, but literally it gives a good result because Mars is placed very well in the chart, as well as its lordship also will not be suffer. So that way the Pisces ascendant will be also, because it's a very small ascendant, we can't describe much things about the Pisces. So this is a last zodiac sign for what you have to put your inputs. Just put it, Kṣaṇāti.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh Ji. Yes, it's very interesting to look at Pisces and moon relationship because Pisces can be very, very ungrounded, and the moon, when it's very hypersensitive, can be ungrounded. So the position of the moon for the Pisces ascendant, it's very important because if the moon, it's good if the moon is in Taurus, the moon is in Rohini, etc., because it will ground the energy of the Pisces vibration. Because the Pisces vibration, they're living in like two different worlds. One hand in the Sarga and one hand on the earth. And they live in this place between the two worlds. And that is very difficult to deal with emotionally. So you need to be in the moon strong position. But if for the Pisces ascendant, the moon is in a very difficult position. And as Dr. Dharmesh mentioned, it activated through the fifth house, which is our past lifetime karma. So you can actually see people born with mental illnesses. And this is a result of the past lifetime karma. You can see this resulting through the positioning of the Pisces ascendant and the fifth house, they could have some difficult karma that they're bringing in terms of their mental functioning, in terms of their maybe autism and other spectrums of this disorder. So the moon position for the Pisces ascendant is absolutely significant. And the rulership of the fifth house, it shows that this is also the house of the children.
Yeah.
So they can be very much living in their own world, the Pisces ascendant. They could very much be living in their own world and into unique philosophies, and they could be kind of like living outside of the normal constructs of society. But then the activation of the moon on the fifth house, it shows that they might have children. They might have which they would have a devotional energy towards. So it would show that would keep them grounded in this life too. So again, the moon energy is very important for the Piscean energy in terms of if the moon is in good position, it can really ground the Piscean vibration. But if the moon is in the difficult position, it can really help facilitate a disruption of the mental groundedness. And so the person can deal with mental fluctuations and mood disorders and mental challenges. So again, the moon position, its rulership on the fifth house, coming in from our past lifetime, showing the moon position being very significant for the Pisces ascendant. And thank you, Dr. Dharmesh, for taking this time with me and sharing this work with me. I'm so grateful for your wisdom and knowledge and application and examples. And I've just really enjoyed our time together. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, me too. Namaste.
Namaste.